This is the book of. That's a shit is crazy. I'm acting weird. This book of Second Ezra chapter 9. So like in Second Ezra chapter 14, starting at verse 13, and it reads, "Thou therefore set thine house in order." You make me think of the book of Joshua where he said, "Choose who you gonna serve this day. But me and my household gonna serve Yahweh Bashem Yahushua." So we at the end, so you pretty much get yourself in order. How the elder say it? He said, a man usually lays out his last will and testament. This go to this person. He make sure he subs up and situates, how his family gonna be taken care of and all that, or he's supposed to anyway. Now therefore set thine house in order and reprove thy people, comfort such of them as be in trouble, and now renounce corruption. It's the only way you go basically escape this is through the Most High God. The cold part is the same power that's you gonna be that can deliver you from it is the same power that's bringing it. Verse 14: Let go from the mortal thoughts, cast away the burdens of man, put off the weak nature, and set aside the thoughts that are most heavy unto thee, and haste thee to hurry, haste thee to fly from these times. Verse 16, the point, for yet greater evils than those which thou hast seen happen shall be done hereafter. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, all glory to Allah, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh, Shai, Hashem. Honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned this truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim. Across the four corners of the earth. Akim. Across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom out to the Akim and the Aquat out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom out to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appear like the other nations, but who subscribe to this truth. To you, I say Shalom. Brother Yahweh coming at you with another lesson. Through the Spirit, through the power of Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. Yahweh meaning He is, He exists, or He to be by Hashem, by His end, has done, His name. Yahushua meaning He saves, or He delivers. True names of the Most High God. His Son, whose people eagerly call God, and Jesus Christ, but whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh, by Hashem Yahushua. This lesson is inspired. This lesson. Oh shit. This lesson is inspired by pretty much an article that I came across, before the new year. I had did a lesson about, we bring it into the new year. Everybody make these new year resolutions. I will stop doing this. I even catch my dumb ass doing it sometimes, at the end of the day, though, they said at the beginning of the year, you got all these companies laying off. So things or times is not getting better. Times is getting worse because it's all the will of Yahweh Shai. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be no jobs. But the scriptures say those that believe and trust in Yahweh Shai, we're supposed to put these thoughts away from us. Because at the end of the day, if you truly trust in the Most High God, you already know that, everything is preordained. And ultimately, if you are one of His, He's going to, He's going to take care of you. Isaiah chapter 65, my servant shall eat. So, read a little bit of the article. It says list of companies laying off employees in January. It says dozens of companies across the country, including Amazon and FedEx, are set to lay off employees in January. It says, why it matters. Thousands of Americans are poised to be impacted by layoffs after their holiday season this year. Layoffs can be viewed as a signal about how companies view economic headwinds, but they can also be due to restructuring or plans to maximize profits. And just a personal testimony, I literally, like last year, I went through like 5 jobs. The last company I was just working at, In April, they let me go. I was working through a tip. Call a lawyer, be like, yeah, I'm gonna shoot my shot, because I was trying to get away from that bitch too. Because it was like she was a witch or a demon or something like that. Like it was just like it was weird, how she was playing her hand. But anyhow, they let me go, and then they brought me back because pretty much they had a contract with the government to make these like those tanks and Humvees and those military vehicles. They got like all cars got air filters. When they got filtered, but it's just like a gigantic ass filter. So they had a contract because they had to like package this filter a certain kind of way. So the company that had the contract with the government would send them to us, and we would package them the way that was specified, and then we would send them to whoever they was going to or whatever. But they let me go, and then I lost like all these jobs and ended up like out of desperation went back to the same company. But the point of bringing all this up is because of the fact they literally like I through the grace of power and mercy of Yahweh Shai, I was able to get another job. And, the reason why I went to go looking for another one was because it wasn't guaranteed I was gonna get hired into them. Not they had the contract, so it was work, but it wasn't a job. It wasn't guaranteed employment. And I watched them go from like we supposed to get 3 days, and then it went down to 2, and that was all because the company was saving money. You know what I mean? Like they was, they had to work. We could have worked the 4 days and just been off Christmas. You know what I mean? But again, my point of bringing it all this up is because, yeah, like these companies, like the tariffs. The last time I worked with them, the tariffs is kicking in. So in order for them to ship, they would try to ship everything at once because each shipment had a tariff, which a lot of Americans or Babylonians don't even understand. Those tariffs aren't helping us. They're actually hurting the American people because it's a tax that we're paying. The goods that's being shipped here, yeah, the company that's shipping them is paying it, but they just gonna charge the people that's buying the goods more money. So ultimately, we pay the tariffs. And this strategy didn't work during the last recession, and it's not working now. And that's why the economy is so. Wait till they say these numbers based on the fact, like people didn't buy nothing for Christmas. I mean, yeah, you might have had some online shopping sales. You got still people that's under the spell of, oh yeah, I gotta buy stuff for Christmas. If you know anything about Christmas, Christmas is one of the most depressing days for individuals. People kill themselves. And the funniest part is that's why the Bible says don't celebrate it. You got people celebrating the day thinking that I remember my sister, my nephew, he born on Christmas. And not because he just literally the Lord sitting there. It's a way for women to induce their pregnancy. And that's what my stupid ass sister did. Oh, so she could feel like she's special. Stupid. I was calling her a bitch. First, yeah, because my sister probably think I'm crazy, right? But look, my sister is beautiful. Like me and her. But, I ain't one of them men, like if she ain't bowed to my will, I don't like she the type. I know a dude that damn near killed himself for her. You know what I mean? I would never give a woman that much power on me. Then she was supposed to get married, and I talked to my other sister. My other sister like that wedding was called off, and I said, "Huh?" And I laughed though, not laughing at the situation, but laughing because she don't realize she the problem. But I'm crazy, huh? Yeah, okay. Says thousands of Americans support. I read that part. Says more than 1.1 million layoffs occurred in 2025, according to the December 2025 report from Challenger Gray and Christmas. Which that's funny. I was just talking about Christmas. Hey, there's the worker adjustment and retraining notification. So pretty much they set up something where if you get laid off, they're supposed to let you know in advance. I was working for a temp, so I wasn't made aware of it. Like they didn't have to give you 60 days notice. They just it's the job over with. Mass layoffs occur with at least 50 employees are laid off during a 30-day period. You about to have a lot of mass layoffs affecting 1/3 of the workforce, or with 500 employees of any company are laid off during a 30-day period according to the organization legal aid at work. They also occur when work site is closed and at least 50 employees are laid off in a 30-day period. More than 100 companies have filed war notices indicating plans to lay off workers in January 2026. And the thing is, these are corporations. These are big companies. So just imagine how many businesses about to shut down. So this is a list. It's an AARP, Abbey V, Adams County Public Hospital, Arrow Farms, Amazon, Admitube, American Signature, Apogee Architectural Metals, Archer Daniels Midland Company, Bechtel, Bechtel National Incorporated, Best Dressed Chicken, Blue Plate, Blue Shield of California, Bob 45. See, I mean, yeah, Coast Star Group. I ain't about to read all these, but Dillard's, because motherfuckers ain't got no money. They, Dillard's. I remember Dillard's was where Jake could go. If you knew anything about, you always had that one person in the hood to get you that deal for cheap. They go in there, and bring you, bring you back that shit. But yeah, Dillard's. Yeah, so a lot of those clothing spots about to close because motherfuckers ain't got no money. The wealthy, the rich got some money, but FedEx, Fresh Ram, General Motors, Gilead Sciences, H&M Fashion, that's the second fashion spot, HD Supply, Hudson National Bank, the bank closing. Well, the bank laying off people. Because, again, AI, you don't need a person with AI can count money. Lakeshore Learning Materials, Louis Vuitton, Maritime Applied Physics Corporation, McDonald's, Meteorcom, Michigan Sugar Company, Nordstrom, Mortland Rack, Palo Verde Hospital, Rad Power Bikes, Raytheon Technologies, Red Run, Saddle Creek. Shada, close the door. SDH Education, SDH Service East, Shell, Recharge Solutions, Smoking Bear, Cheesecake Factory, Trans Alta, United Supermarkets, Virginia Mason, Wells Fargo, White Coffee Corporation, WWL Vehicle Services. What people are saying. Joanne Song, a labor economist at the University of Buffalo, previously told Newsweek in 2025, the current economic uncertainty comes from volatility in trade and fiscal policies and the government shutdown. We also experience underlying structural changes driven by AI, which I believe could have an interaction effect on the policy and political volatilities. Uncertainty makes it hard for employees to predict, so they will most likely reduce investment in employment. So ultimately, a lot of people got to be out of work. That's a lot of companies too. And like you said, it said 50 or more, which again, these are bigger corporations. So just imagine the everyday.
What are you doing? Why do you keep pacing back
Just imagine that the average everyday Babylonian that owns a business here that's just like the place I was working at last. It's a small corporation. The place I work at now, it's a little bigger because of the fact they got multiple. Like it's like a mobile construction thing. So they got multiple 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 equipment to do the job. So, this is gonna be a snowball effect, because the harder times get, the less people gonna spend, and the more jobs is gonna be lost. Kind of like with this Venezuela situation, which is comical to a degree, but Jake doesn't understand the repercussions of it. You know what I mean? It's going to be repercussions with this. That's why you had the vice president of Venezuela pretty much secure by Russia. Because a president, like any leader, is a face. He's the symbol. So people aspire and are uplifted by him. So yeah, that they done snatched this president. I mean, it's just really Babylon the Great, Revelations 12 and 12. The devil coming out with great wrath because he knows that he had but a short time. And this is only going to inspire the other nations that's tired of this place. Putin is a chess player, a world class one. So, if you know anything about chess players, they don't think they think moves ahead. They're very dangerous people. Because when you just plot, they probably already plotted. You just now said, let me watch my back. They already watched their back and watching your back at the same time too. Watching your back, not to help you, but to stick you in that motherfucker. Come on. So yeah, this is the book of Isaiah chapter 19. Point is verse 15. But there's a lot of good stuff in here, but all because of your boy, the king of Babylon. And Isaiah 19 and verse 4, and it reads, and the Egyptians will I give over to the hand of a cruel lord, and a fierce king shall rule over them, saith the Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua, the Lord of hosts. Skipping to verse 14. The Lord Yahweh Bashem Yahushua hath mingled a perverse spirit in the midst thereof. It's so perverse that you got people believing that Trump trying to make Babylon the Great better. Where you can clearly see the policies he's put into place. If he's a businessman, he should have understood economics, right? So why would you put in place? What people don't get is he's trying to tax the other countries. He's taxing the Babylonians. Because this is going into like a feudal system of, you had the serfs and the kings and the royalty, you know what I mean? So they didn't give a fuck if you didn't have the money to pay for some shit back in the day. When you had serfs, you better come up with the money or it's a penalty. When you watch the movies with knights and kings and shit like that, like literally the people was in distress. Just like Babylon the Great today. It says, and they have caused Egypt to err in every work thereof, as a drunken man staggereth in his vomit. Neither shall there be any work for Egypt which the head or tail, branch or rush may do. Verse 16, in that day shall Egypt be like unto women, and it shall be afraid and fear because of the shaking of the hand of the Lord, Yahweh Shah of hosts, which he shaketh over it. And pretty much the Lord using his prophets when we cussing this place out. Yeah. And that's what this devil is about to wrap up the persecution. This devil is being tired being told the truth. You know what I mean? And the land of Judah shall be a terror to Egypt. Everyone that maketh mention thereof shall be afraid in himself, because the counsel of the Lord of hosts, which he hath determined against it. the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, starting at verse 1, and it reads, Remember now thy creator the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. So we supposed to be having our mind on the Lord before all hell break loose. The thing is, I'm one of those particular individuals where, the one brother, I believe he camps by himself. I think he's in the Virgin Islands. But, I think the elders and them deal with him where the point, because I know I know certain little things, but point being, he showed a picture. He's like from death to life. So he showed the old man, and he showed himself. He showed a picture of his old self, but you could just see the spirits that was on him back then. I can, yeah. But saying all that to say this, like you could tell just based on that when a person can recognize and be humble enough to show that, like I was a nigga, now the Lord, that's a beautiful thing. Yeah. And somebody like that, you would think, Lord willingly won't lose the faith. Like with myself, it's gonna take some hellified shit to shake me up to be like, because the Lord didn't show me too much. You know what I mean? That's why I make some of the statements, which Jake could say weak, but I don't give a fuck what Jake think. A judge will actually know the whole matter before they speak on it. So while you assuming stuff, not to be disrespectful, we men. Maybe I'm not a judge, maybe I'm the demon. So again, if that's the case, the Lord ain't making no mistakes. I can accept that. Why Jake came? The elder had the brother post, we all where we supposed to be. Right. I have no idea. See, it would be easier to say, well, oh, yeah, see, he changed the doctrine. He a demon. But that ain't the case, is it? Sometimes it's better not to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Especially with all this, if you believe that every man that's just because they joined onto the cap that I follow is right, you a fucking naive individual. Flat out. If ain't nobody gonna say it, I'll say it and call me the bad guy again. If it's all my fault, I might not. You know what's funny? The brother called me. He said you ain't got a good report, right? But then the brother called me and said everybody asking about me. Which one is it? Verse 2. While the sun or the light or the moon. Hey, I had a good report when they needed something from me, though. Right. Hey, again, I'm not too concerned. I'm not even really mad. I don't like when people don't know what they talk about and they got something to say. That's why we teach our children to be quiet. Not calling the elder no child. What I'm saying is, I learned that. You know what I mean? Like, that's why I don't speak on being I don't know. I don't know the bishop. I've watched brothers do it. I don't know that man. I don't know the general. I don't know the captain. I've said certain stuff because I explained to you why I don't do certain things. If you can't see what I know, then why would I follow you? Jake told me we just gonna fake it. I said, nigga, I'm gonna get away from you. What are you talking about? You supposed to be this, super spiritual man that I'm supposed to be just willing to jump into the fire for, but you sitting up and telling me some shit that I know the Lord will kill us about. While the sun or the light or the moon or the stars be not darkened, nor the clouds return after the rain. Verse 3, in the day when the keepers of the house shall tremble, which are the economists, because they trembling now, and war brings money. But this war is going to set off a chain of events that's going to actually be the demise of Babylon the Great. And the strong men shall bow themselves and the grinders cease because they are few, and those that look out of the windows be darkened. Verse 4, and the door shall be shut in the streets when the sound of the grinder is low. Lack of jobs. And he shall rise up at the voice of the bird, those that get up early. And all the daughters of music shall be brought low. We constantly bring out the fact that the music is garbage. So we believe we're living in that time. And it only takes a few events. You know, this year started off with a bang. When you look at the timing of it, what's that? 2026 is a two, that's a 4, and a 6. That's a 10, a perfect number. Then you add that 1 with that, because, we in the first month. So 1 and 1, that's 2. On the third, that's 3. That's a 5. 5 represents power. You got numbers can represent righteousness or wickedness. And, it's not completely off, because that's like gematria, because numbers hold meaning. But, we don't trust in that shit either. You know what I mean? Like, I know that because I was doing that before I understood what it was, believe it or not. So, again, everything is set up to go the way that the Heavenly Father sees fit. And that's why we see the end manifesting. Because, you got certain signs, you got certain things going on in the world, these lack of jobs, these world wars, these certain times, these, the wars of the people, all these different things are a signal to the end. Second Ezra chapter 9 and verse 1, and it reads, He answered me then and said, Measure thou the time diligently in itself, and when thou seest parts of the signs pass, which I've told thee before, then shalt thou understand that it is the very same time wherein the highest will begin to visit the world which he made. Therefore, when there shall be seen earthquakes and uproars of the people of the world, then shalt thou well understand that the Most High spake of those things for the days that were before thee, even from the beginning. For like as all that is made in the world have a beginning and an end, and the end is manifest. Verse 6, even so the times also of the highest have plain beginnings and wonders and wonderful, it's like it. Plain beginnings and wonders and powerful works and endings and effects and signs. And, at the end of this thing, it's going to be a lot of chaos, a lot of death. It's going to be a lot of misery. Again, you taking away the people's ability to actually provide for themselves. And, it ain't that necessarily like you might have a dude that do some. I remember I worked at a job where it was a dude, he looked like an Edomite, but he probably was Jake. I remember my brother was letting me use his car, but the brother had a Lexus. I was gonna buy the Lexus, but then an individual, elder wanted to buy it. I don't even think he bought it. But out of respect, I, try to treat the elder as such. Anyhow, so you stopped me from getting something. What I mean? I could be, because, my car run or whatever, but it's just like, I had the means to get the car. But anyhow, and the individual at the job, he literally got fired. And he came back and, because this building had cameras on it. But he was so, just desperate, he didn't give a fuck. Besides the fact that, he makes something happen, That's one thing about individuals, certain individuals. You got people that talk and you got people that do. So he literally went up there and he took they had like a trailer or something. He took that bitch and it probably scrapped it. Probably got a couple $1,000s or whatever. But he all on camera, so he probably more than likely went back to jail. But my point being, when people desperate, like if people have an opportunity to work, more than likely they go work. Yeah, you got just some niggas like I knew some niggas that I ain't gonna work. I'm just, you know what I mean? I'm gonna sell dope. I'm gonna do this. They gonna do everything but work. Really in the way. You know what I mean? Ain't nobody out in the streets like that unless you moving certain shit. When I was coming up, you had the crack epidemic. Now most of the people that was on crack are not on crack. Sure, the times are changing, you know what I'm saying? But my point of bringing that up is, like I said again, that dude was working up until he didn't have ability to work. Because the job we was at, pretty much they didn't care about if he was a felon or not. And again, it's difficult for felons, I'm a felon, That's how I know the Lord be blessing me, because I've never really had trouble. I got It was Jake and the Cap that don't got no record that could get no job or could keep a job. I'm a felon, which is difficult to keep jobs. I lost jobs over having a record, yada, yada, yada. But at the same time, the Lord has always provided. Why do y'all much be outside? Call her lawyer, y'all much be outside. So one of those signs is gonna be a lack of work. And when these people can't work or take care of themselves, they gonna lose. They marbles. They gonna go completely ape shit. Even so, the times also of the highest have played beginnings and wonders and what powerful works and endings and effects of signs. Verse 7, and everyone that shall be saved and shall be able to escape by his works and by faith whereby ye have believed. So it's not just your faith, because your faith is going to make you do. So you're going to have works. You know, you got Jake's, everybody got a story about telling a nigga the truth because he was just trying to be zealous. You're trying to pass the truth along. I remember I told a nigga that he didn't like me. He was it's a nigga from the, where my, projects type shit. This nigga just didn't like me. He was real arrogant, but you a project nigga. How the fuck you arrogant? And you be surprised shit that come from the dirt. Like it'd be some humble ones, and it'd be some it'd be some motherfuckers that's like nigga just proud. How you proud, nigga? So yeah, I could have probably kept on going to the second Ezra, but I'm not. I'm gonna end it there because at the end of the day, with what the Lord's about to bring, you're gonna have to be the Lord's elect to actually withstand it. So with that, I'm going to end the lesson. If you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Southern Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of your power, whose true name in the Paleo Hebrew is Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I want to give all praise, all honor, all glory to call Lawyer Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, Ba'ashem. Godash, double honors to the elders, to the apostles that I learned the truth from. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akim and the Aquat to listen and learning. Lord willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appear like the other nations, but subscribe to the truth to you. I say shalom. Till next time, Lord willingly, shalom, shalom. Kwame Yasharala, Bawathla Babal.